Hello, everyone. Walk Hill Bethelite here. And I want to talk about a subject that I've heard a lot of people say that they would go back to the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses for. And that's for a wife. Recently, I made a video, and somebody posted in that video that they would go back to the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses if they could get them a virgin wife. Now, we'd have to get the person to explain in detail what they meant, but in general, I've heard people say this before, that they're thinking about going back to the cult primarily because they're lonely for whatever reason, and they want a husband or wife. Now, the interesting thing about this is that most people, both guys and women, most people are trying to steer clear of crazy people. They're not trying to go and find somebody who is unstable in the head to date and then marry. One of the whole goals is to try to avoid people who are unstable and not well in the head. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, this cult, mass produces people who are loose in the head. So logically thinking, if a person is willing to go back to the cult, let's say a woman, if a woman is willing to go back into the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses to find a husband, well, logically, their standard is so low, they shouldn't need to go back to a cult because they can find a husband anywhere. Think about it. If your standard is so low, you're looking for somebody that's crazy. You're looking for somebody that thinks the end of the world is coming every day. You're looking for somebody who thinks Sam Hurd is the faithful and discreet slave of God. Like, you're looking for somebody that stupid. There's a world full of them. You don't have to go to a cult to find somebody who ain't right in the head. You don't have to go to a cult to find somebody that's crazy. If you're looking for somebody that's crazy, just go on a few dates. You'll easily find them. You do not need to go to a cult to find somebody who's loose in the head. Now, I know of women who just about anybody walking down the street, they're worried about them. They're concerned about them. Heck, they could be the Boston Strangler for all this woman knows. Well, if this same woman who's concerned about all these other guys and scared of all these other guys, just in general, guys that she doesn't know, but will then go to a Kingdom Hall and date guys that, again, she doesn't know until, of course, you date them and get to know them. But one thing you know off top is there's something wrong with them. They're in a cult. You're literally digging through a box of broken parts to put in your car, and you think this car is going to run smoothly. No, you don't purposefully attempt to go get broken parts to go put in your car. You want to go and get good parts to put in your car. So then why would you purposefully go to a cult? We need to really discuss this, because I know men and women who are concerned about who they date and who they marry. It's not that they can't date or marry anybody. It's not that there's no one there to date at all, so they want to go to this particular cult. It's that they're concerned about who this person is. Well, if your standard is so low that you will settle for a Jehovah Witness to marry, don't even worry about all these random people that you see in your comings and goings. All of them are equal to or above the standard of a Jehovah Witness. There was a news article, and it was on the news, about a man. This man was a Jehovah's Witness. I think he was an elder. I'm pretty sure he's an elder. And he was doing work for a woman. And I guess he didn't finish the work. She had a camera in the back where he was doing the work. He didn't finish the work. She had him come back to finish it. And he murdered her. He killed her. I don't remember the guy's name, but it was on the news. He was doing work for her. She hired somebody from the Kingdom Hall. She hired somebody from the Kingdom Hall to do work for her in her backyard. And the guy came in and killed her. I'm sure there's a backstory to it, but it don't matter. The concept is that you're going to the Kingdom Hall to find somebody to do work for you. She'd have been better off finding a random person walking down the street, because you know there's something wrong with people at the Kingdom Hall. This fear of strangers outside of the Kingdom Hall is illogical, because the people in the hall are the ones you need to be concerned about. You know for sure you need to be concerned about them. So if you're running directly to the Kingdom Hall to go and find people to work for you, do work for you, to marry and all this other stuff, then you don't need to be afraid of nobody else. So why not open up your options? It doesn't make sense to go to a small cult when there's plenty of crazy people everywhere else. Why? What's wrong with other crazy people? Why do they have to be Jehovah Witness crazy? And the comment that I'm guessing guy talking about wanting a virgin wife. I'm guessing it's a guy. You never know these days, but I'm guessing it's a guy. People get stuck in concepts. Now, these concepts may not necessarily be true, but they are still stuck on the hamster wheel, chasing after something that ain't there. This concept that Jehovah's Witnesses are virgin and pure and all this stuff isn't exactly true. And even if you do find somebody that's a Jehovah's Witness that's a virgin, you could find somebody who's a Baptist that's a virgin. You could find somebody that's a Catholic and that's a virgin. And you have a better chance at it. There ain't but so many Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses is a very small cult. You go inside a Kingdom Hall and what you see a whole bunch of old people and a few kids and those kids' parents. Where's all the young women? 25, 24, 26. Where's all the women that age? Why is it that you see kids, teenagers, and then you jump to the parents, and then you jump from there to just old people? A lot of the times. Because the people 24, 25, 26, 27, somewhere around that age, they out doing what they doing. And what they doing is not being virgin. They out not being virgin. And the funny thing about that is Both men and women will leave the Kingdom Hall, do what they want to do. Mess around, have 4-5 kids. Get DF. Then come back to the Kingdom Hall and then marry somebody. And my question is, what's better about marrying a Jehovah Witness that went out and had sex with a bunch of people and had kids and all this other stuff, got DF'd, and then they just came back to the hall and brought the kids with them? What's better about marrying them versus marrying anybody else that has kids? People are just narrowing down their options. They're narrowing down their options, and they're narrowing down the options for no reason. No reason at all. There's no reason to go search through a Kingdom Hall, or I should say plural, because you're going to go to several Kingdom Halls, plural, and dig through a whole bunch of old people trying to find some virgin somewhere. There's no reason to do that when you can go to a Baptist church that's got a ton more people to look through to try to find your virgin there if that's what you want. I'm not saying there's something wrong with wanting somebody that's a virgin. If that's what you want, you're the one that's got to marry him. You're the one that's going. That's you're the one that's going to be living that. Whatever a person wants, they're the ones that have to live with that person. So by all means, go ahead and pursue what it is you want to pursue. It's just there's no logical reason that the title Jehovah Witness has to be next to a virgin. If you want a virgin, just go find you one. You're limiting your chances to freaking find a virgin by just looking through freaking Jehovah Witnesses. Look through Baptists. Look through Catholic. Apparently it don't matter if they're crazy or not, or off in their marbles. Look through Mormons. There's all these other cults. Why not go look through freaking Amish people with the bonnets? Find you an Amish wife with the bonnet. They might be virgins there, I don't know. But there's no reason to only be looking through this cult. And I've talked to people, and I've known people who have only dated Jehovah's Witnesses. They could have dated a bunch of people, but they've only dated Jehovah's Witnesses, and it never did work. So after it didn't work the first time, then it didn't work the second time, then it didn't work the third time. Why does it always have to be a Jehovah's Witness? There's one cult. If you just need to have a cult member, there's plenty of other cults. There's cults that are bigger. Mormons, for example. There's cults that if you just want a cult member, why I don't understand. There's no logical reason for it. Unless you just find something sexually attractive about watchtowers and watching somebody underline a watchtower. There's no logical reason that a person has to specifically be going to a Kingdom Hall. Now, have fun actually trying to find you a virgin at the Kingdom Hall, because everybody at the Kingdom Hall is a virgin, unless they've been married and they got kids and they're, much older. Everybody's a virgin if you ask them, because if they tell you otherwise, they're going to get disfellowship. So there's a high likelihood you about to go into a cult, marry somebody who this concept that she just going to listen to you is ridiculous, but go through all this mess, and the person ain't a virgin anyway. They're just saying that they are because they ain't trying to lose their whole freaking social network. They're not trying to get disfellowship. You have a much bigger incentive to lie as a Jehovah's Witness versus a Baptist, a Catholic, and so on and so forth. There may be some other churches that will freaking lose their top if somebody does something that they're not supposed to do, and maybe people will lie there also. But Jehovah's Witnesses, for sure, you have a huge incentive to lie. So everybody a virgin. Heck, go ask them. Everybody a virgin. They gonna tell you they not? Everybody a virgin. But that same person that you see, that you think is attractive, everybody at her job sees and thinks she's attractive and tries to ask her out. If she's going to college, everybody else is seeing the same thing. And you got people that got their own apartments. Ain't nobody watching them. So yeah, everybody's a freaking virgin. Except for they're not. I used to go to different kingdom halls to try to find, make friends. Because you only got so many people your age at your kingdom hall. So yeah, I would go to a few different kingdom halls, meet a few other people, invite people to play basketball. And as I would go to these kingdom halls, of course, back in the day, when I would go to these kingdom halls, the back room where the glass is, that bad boy was filled to the brim because they was all disfellowship. And guess what? Generally, if a person gets disfellowship, what was the reason? If somebody is early 20s gets disfellowship and they sitting in the back room and they ain't allowed to talk to nobody, what was the reason? Something sexual. They ain't virgins. And they ain't right in the head because they went and told on themselves. So this whole concept of I'm willing to go to a cult in order to quench the loneliness needs to be reconsidered. You can go anywhere to quench the damn loneliness. The guy or woman in the next apartment complex next to you that you think is an axe murderer for no damn reason is just as good to go and date as the freaking axe murderer that's a Jehovah Witness. The abusive person. I know for a fact that there are elders that have abused their wives, pushed them up against doors, and they, hit themselves up against a door handle. I've heard firsthand accounts of elders who kicked their wives, spat on their wives. What was the benefit of marrying that guy versus a guy who's a Baptist or a guy who's a Catholic? Is it that it just hurts less when an abusive Jehovah Witness hits you versus an abusive Baptist or Catholic? And then also this concept that, oh, well, it's easier amongst Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't necessarily think that that's the case. That if you're just having issues finding somebody, that it's just going to be easier because this is a cult. Again, if it's easier in cults and you're just comfortable in cults, there's lots of cults. You don't have to only limit yourself to Jehovah Witnesses. But I would, if I were you, try to avoid crazy. Try to avoid unstable. Jehovah's Witnesses in general are not big on therapy and therapists and psychologists and medication because they're thinking the end of the world is literally going to happen tomorrow. So what's the purpose in getting diagnosed? So you got all these Jehovah's Witnesses that are freaking, I'm talking, they should have paperwork saying that they're crazy. And they don't have that. And that's not good because they don't have medication. You got all these Jehovah's Witnesses that ought to have some kind of medication and none of them have it. There are Jehovah's Witnesses that have stabbed their freaking spouse. I'm telling you, there's no reason. When I see people comment on a video that they want, not that there's somebody forcing them at gunpoint, they want intentionally going to some place where they know these people ain't right in the head and they're wanting to marry somebody there. I'm trying to think, what's the benefit? What do you get out of it? You don't know that this person is a virgin, even though they're going to tell you they are. I don't know why they would tell you the truth. Unless they just don't care about getting DF. Or once you finally get to know them well enough, they'll tell you eventually, yeah, they were DF 4 times. And what were all 4 times for? Sexual immorality. So what's the difference? And then this concept that Jehovah's Witnesses are submissive. Yet another fallacy. Born and raised Jehovah's Witness. I was born and raised Jehovah's Witnesses. And I can count on one hand how many times I've seen some submission. Submission as in a wife that's going to do what it is that you're telling her to do, regardless of whether or not she agrees or not. Of course, people are going to do what you're asking them to do if they don't care what it is you're asking or they agree with it anyway. I'm talking about if they don't agree. I have yet to see that, but I've seen people who know full well their own wife ain't submissive. Their own wife done thrown them out the damn bedroom, but yet they get up on the stage and give a marriage talk talking about submission and whatnot. Every elder in that hall knew their wife wasn't no damn submissive. They couldn't tell her to do something, and if she did not want to do it, she wasn't about to do it. They could not tell her to do something she did not want to do and think she was going to do it. There's elders who their wives have yelled at them in front of people. I was over somebody's house, bunch of guys, bunch of what we would call brothers back then, in the basement, listening to music. Somebody called for their wife to come downstairs to dance, and I guess they didn't like the way that they were asked to come down to dance. Maybe it sounded like, in front of a bunch of guys, he was just telling her what to do, get down here and dance, woman type of a thing. Whatever it is she thought was going on, he asked her to dance, and he's an elder, and she came to the top of the steps and ripped him a new one. Don't you ever call me like that. Yell at me to come downstairs or whatever the case she said. Don't you ever. I mean, somebody that says the words, don't you ever, that ain't submit. Like, this concept of submission, I've never understood it, and yet I've been born and raised Jehovah's Witness. Most of the people I've been around were black. Central congregation was a black congregation. It's the whole submission thing is not big, I don't think, in our culture. To be honest with you, I mean, you can be nice to each other, but you ain't telling somebody what to do, and if they don't want to do it, or if they don't like the way you said it, you know what I mean? That ain't gonna go well for you, So what's the purpose? You're not going into the Kingdom Hall and getting somebody submissive unless that's just their personality. Unless they just have a personality where they're non-combative and they'll just do what you want to do just to keep it from being an argument. But that ain't been my experience with a lot of people. So part of the reason I decided to go to Bethel wasn't just because I thought that that was the best way to serve Jehovah at the time, but also based off all these marriages that I've been seeing. Heck, my parents got divorced. Uh, I would see, all the flirtation and whatnot going on. It didn't matter if the person was an elder. Uh, Titles didn't matter. As far as a person's conduct, they were going to conduct themselves the way they were going to conduct themselves. So the title Jehovah Witness next to their name didn't make them conduct themselves any better when they thought they were getting away with it than any other person. There were people who were odd. There was a guy, and he was super short. Like, this guy had to be like 5'2" or something. Like, this dude was super short. Dark-skinned guy, and he didn't find him no wife. Like, this dude was super short and super weird. He would give comments and and I mean, he couldn't even. The people he hung out with typically were like 10 years. He could play basketball. So he could play basketball. So a lot of the people he hung out with were people that would come to play basketball. And a lot of them were younger. He wasn't hanging out with people his age. Where was all the young virgins jumping to marry him? He was going to the hall. He would comment. I remember going to his house, was with some of my friends. Again, he hung out with a lot of people younger. And I remember seeing a bunch of, back then they had cassette tapes, a whole stack of cassette tapes. And even me back then, I knew, I don't want to know what's all on them tapes. This bad boy got to have some porn somewhere. For him to be his age and he ain't married, he ain't got no girlfriend, he ain't got no nothing. I don't want to know what's on them damn cassette tapes, because them cassette tapes didn't have no labels. It was just a cassette tape with no label, with no writing to know what the heck was on this. I don't want to know what the hell was on them tapes. But it's a fallacy that these wives are just being given out. There was somebody else that I remember, and I don't think he ever married a Jehovah's Witness, but he was wanting to marry a Jehovah's Witness, and wasn't nobody listening to him because he was open about wanting a submissive wife. I'm talking about in the field service group. It'd be me, him. I remember he was driving, and there'd be a few sisters in the back. And he's talking about how he wants his wife to always have her hair done. I remember specifically he said that. He wants his wife to always have her hair done. He's like, well, he don't see a reason why she can't do her hair and nails and so on and so forth. Well, I wasn't saying nothing. I didn't care what he wanted. The sisters had a problem with it. One in specific. She was asking, you don't got your hair done all the time, so why do your wife always got to have her hair done, always got to have her nails done? You gonna have yourself together all the time? And he was like, well, I shouldn't have to because I'm the head of the house. Dude, you ain't the head of this car. Your own damn car is about to get taken over by these sisters in the back. They said, that's why you can't find nobody, and yada, 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 yada. Like, you know what I mean? This concept of submission is I haven't seen it. And the only thing I've seen close to it, I think the reason for that was personality. I don't think it was because a religion told somebody who their natural inclination is to be outspoken and bold and the opposite of submissive, and they just decided to be submissive because Jehovah's Witnesses told them to. No, the only people I've seen that were where that's their personality. They're quiet, they're nice. You know what I mean? And that's how they would be when I would see them. And I remember going out in service and a guy forgot something. I can't remember what it was. His call book, field service book, something. And he told his wife to go in and get it. And he told her to hurry up. He was like, we gotta hurry. We gotta hurry. I done forgot my such and such. Go in there and get it and hurry up. And she opens the door, hops out, and she's fast, jogging because he told her to hurry up. That is not common. I think that's just her personality. That is not common at all. You are better off if you don't mind the inconvenience of an entire cult, and you know it's a cult, but you don't care, a whole damn cult don't bother you, then nothing any of the other eligible bachelors and eligible bachelorettes, nothing that they got going on should be a problem either. So there's no damn reason to go back to a damn Kingdom Hall if you're lonely. Just date anybody else. You got 1 billion people on the planet to date. You only got a few million Jehovah Witnesses. And you know damn well they crazy. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.